Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here. We're talking Starlight Road in this video and we're asking the question, is this card actually viable again? Is it going to be a viable card in the new formats? And I think that if you just say, okay, Heavy Storm is still banned, the card is trash, I think that you're basically taking the easy way out. Because I can speak from personal experience about Starlight Road, and I ran Starlight Road in multiples in 2 of my regional top 8 decks. This was Gladiator Beast and TG Stun, and I obviously did this because this allowed me to run, or it allowed me to set multiple back row and know that I was fairly safe against Heavy Storm. But even without Heavy Storm in the format, I mean, I think it comes down to basic numbers here. Like, whenever I conceivably thought about running Starlight Road in a deck, I always thought to myself, okay, how many viable mass destruction cards are there out there, and how many might I actually run into in an 8-round event? Because I don't think even to this day anyone will question Starlight Road's power. I mean, if you resolve the card, you're pretty much going to win. I will say this. In a premier event and like a regional, I have never ever, and I mean ever, lost a game where I resolve Starlight Road. It just doesn't happen. You get the free Stardust, so you're already +1, and then Stardust can eat up another, you know, it can eat up another destruction effect, or you can just beat the shit out of your opponent with it. And I think that if you look at the format right now, and you look at the mass removal that we have in the game, okay, well, you got Dark Hole, you have Regeki, you've got Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, and Bottomless Trap Hole. And I count Bottomless Trap Hole now. I didn't really count it before, just because you have like multiple summon cards like Soul Charge and Rescue Rabbit and whatnot. I think that if you even go deeper and you kind of looked at a matchup base, you know, you might add in Judgment Dragon, Exoton Knight, and Black Rose Dragon. Those are cards where only specific matchups can use those cards against you. Now, a lot of people will probably hear that list and they'll immediately say, well, Cap, you know, Torrential Tribute, Mirror Force, and Regeki aren't staples. And, you know, I wholeheartedly agree. I'm not stupid here. I'm not just going to tell you guys to run a bad card just because, I mean, fuck it, it makes a video topic. I think that obviously we look at the game and we know that monster removal, especially mass monster removal, it's not as strong as it was before. This is why some of these cards they're not considered staples anymore. However, I do see a lot of people still running Torrential Tribute, mainly because if you're running these floater decks, you know that it really doesn't hurt you. And I see a lot of people saying that they're going to be side decking Dark Hole, and probably it's going to be against non-floating decks. And these are exactly the type of decks that I think can actually make some use out of Starlight Road. I mean, I'm not going to say go crazy with Road and try and, you know, splash in 2 copies like I did back in the day. That would just be stupid now. But I'm perfectly fine if somebody wanted to splash in maybe 1 tech copy in Battery Man or Fire Fist, because rest assured, people are going to be side decking the Regekis for your type of deck. A deck where once you put a monster on board, if I kill it, I know that it's not going to trigger, or it's not going to just for some reason get to another monster. Once I kill your shit, it's actually dead. And I also think that people are going to leave those Torrential Tributes and Bottomlesses in against you, and especially if you're playing a really aggressive deck like Battery Man. I mean, you don't know how bad it feels when you just know that you have the OTK and then you're just stopped by a Torrential and it's just like, damn, I mean, that sucks. But I think that Starlight Road is still a card that lets you play as aggressive as possible. In fact, when I was running TG Stun, anytime that I had Road, I used to make sure that I played even more aggressive than so. I used to basically want my opponent to torrential me. I would summon monsters that I didn't even want to summon. I'd be like, please torrential me, please torrential me. And then when they finally did, I just won because of Starlight Road and whatnot. I think that it's also kind of relevant with Vanity's Emptiness, that whole dynamic where people are looking for that to be like one of their ace counter cards. And even if your Starlight Road gets Vanity, you still get your protection on your monsters. Starlight Road, the summon effect is actually optional. Although if it's warning, you don't get the protection effect. But if somebody just simply responds with Vanities, I mean, you're really not at like a disadvantaged position, because they're essentially locked under their Vanities and you still have monsters on board. So overall, and I don't think I'm being too lenient on the card. I think that it's viable as a one-of tech option. But I'd only recommend it for decks that are what I would consider fair decks. Decks that your monsters don't really float. Decks like Fire Fist and Evil Swarm, Battery Man. Decks that still they still have a lot of potential, but they need a little bit of aid from, other cards. Like, they don't have the safety net of when their monsters die, they just float or you just search or something like that. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching as always.
Subscribing makes life happy.